All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dave Parker, the Public Information Officer for the Arkansas Department of Transportation. Thank you for being here today. A very important subject. Just to let you know, after the press conference is over, I'll be sending out a link to the 2.5-minute video, the drone video that was captured, just so you have that for reference. And I'll also send out the copy of the screen grab here so you guys can have that. And anything after the press conference, any questions you have, any needs you have, you guys, I think most of you know how to get in touch with me, so just reach out and I'll get that to you as quickly as possible. So with that, introducing our director, the director of the Arkansas Department of Transportation, Lori Tudor, and our deputy director and chief engineer, Rex Vines, will be taking questions following an opening statement by the director.
Thank you all for being here today. And just so I won't forget, I'm going to tell you right up front, we have our prepared remarks, both me and Rex. And if you want a copy of those, just reach out to Parker. He'll email them to you after the press conference. So less than a week ago, it's hard to believe, but just less than a week ago on Tuesday, May 11th, the I-40 bridge was closed to traffic due to the discovery of a fracture in the tie girder. A picture from a drone video showing that the fracture was visible in 2019 was verified as authentic on Friday, May 14th. We have a display of the 2019 picture over here to my right. From our investigation, we have determined that the same employee who conducted the inspection in both 2019 and 2020 failed to carry out his responsibilities correctly. This is unacceptable, and this employee has been terminated as of this morning. We are in the process of referring this matter to the proper federal authorities for their determination if further investigation, criminal or otherwise, is warranted. However, this is not about the failure of one employee. This is about the failure in the inspection process that allowed this to happen. Now, I want to take this opportunity to make sure that everyone understands that our consultant, Michael Baker International, was conducting an inspection of the arches and cables when this was discovered. They were not inspecting the tie girder that is damaged. It was by happenstance that they noticed the fracture and reported it to ARDOT, and subsequently we shut the bridge down. Michael Baker is in no way responsible for the oversight. We are very grateful to them for their quick action. Our investigation not only revealed the negligence of an employee, it also revealed a process failure that is the responsibility of ARDOT. We should have discovered this crack in the beam in 2019, and we are taking steps to hold those responsible for not doing their jobs accountable, but more importantly, to correct the flaws in our process. It is important to note that we closely follow the Federal Highway Administration's National Bridge Inspection Standards regulations. In fact, we exceed those standards in some areas. However, this incident has highlighted a flaw in the processes we have set up to meet those federal standards. The Federal Highway Administration will be conducting a comprehensive assessment of ARDOT's bridge inspection program. The assessment will ensure the appropriate policies, programs, and people are in place to meet this responsibility. We welcome this assessment as we move forward to make sure this never happens again. We have started reviewing our processes. We are taking action now. We are already adding additional checks and balances along with redundancy. We recently purchased a drone to review bridges. This will be in addition to hands-on inspections using the snooper. The other picture we have displayed is of a snooper, so you can understand what that looks like. We have requested that Tennessee DOT perform a drone review of the I-55 bridge over the Mississippi River to give confidence to the public that it was done correctly, that it is in good condition. All fracture critical bridges that were inspected by the terminated employee will be re-inspected beginning this week. And that's over the last year. The bridges that he was involved in inspecting will be re-inspected beginning this week. No excuses. There's none. We understand that in order to regain the public trust and confidence, we will need to be transparent and accountable, and we are committed to doing so. We will correct this problem, and we will become better for it. Again, we are so grateful that it was discovered by Michael Baker, and we are so grateful that a light was cast on this process failure. We are also grateful for the partnership and support of TDOT and the Federal Highway Administration. But I ask that you all remember one thing. ARDOT did not cause this failure. Moving forward, we need to focus on how to keep traffic moving right now while the bridge is closed. We need to focus on repairing the bridge and then opening it back up to traffic safely. Then we need to focus on why it failed. Once the causes for the failure are identified, it will help to prevent it from happening in the future. So with that, in the spirit of moving forward, I've asked Rex Vines, ARDOT's Deputy Director and Chief Engineer, to give you an update on the plan of action for this week.
Thank you, Director, and thank you all for coming. We appreciate your willingness to come to this. We would like to take this opportunity to update everyone on the reopening of the bridge and just where we are, the status. As of 9 a.m. Friday morning, the U.S. Coast Guard did release barge traffic to go back under the bridge. You may be aware of that. Last week, a structural team was put together to analyze this problem and to begin to come up with a solution. That team included ARDOT engineers, it included TDOT, the Federal Highway Administration, HNTB, and Michael Baker International. This team has worked tirelessly through the weekend, and they have developed a design. Everyone involved in this is very aware of the effects of this structure being closed and are dedicated to getting it open as quickly as possible. So this team has developed a temporary or a design to stabilize the structure, to stabilize the beam. They're also refining the design that would be a permanent repair, and I'll discuss that a little bit later in just a few minutes. I believe it was Friday, TDOT, Tennessee Department of Transportation, sent a copy of the repair design to several contractors throughout the industry and requested proposals and qualifications. Those qualifications were due this morning by 10 a.m. and they were being reviewed, and the selection process involved in that would be looking at their qualifications, their availability, their expertise and experience in this type of work, and they will be selected. The contractor that will be doing the work will be selected hopefully this afternoon. Once we have the contractor selected, we can develop a timeline that will help us determine how long it will be closed. The repair will be done in two phases. The first phase will be adding splice plates, structural steel plating to the outside of the beams to stabilize it. This will prevent any further propagation of the crack, and it will allow the contractor to work on the structure. And those structural plate designs were sent this weekend to the fabricator, and he began fabrication this morning. So we're hoping that repairs for this initial phase 1, will begin this week, early to mid this week. Phase 2 is still being refined at this time, but they're contemplating using high-strength steel rods to span the fracture and restore the strength to the beam. After this, the fractured section of the beam or the girder will be removed, and a new girder will be replaced, or a new section will be replaced in it. After these repairs have been made, we will continue to look at the bridge, look at long-term issues that may have been caused by this fracture, and to look and to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Okay, that's all I have.
So if you have questions now for either the director or Mr. Vines?
I guess this would be for the director, but I was wondering, with the age of the interstates, how does this bridge and the issue that we're having there, how does the age of the interstates and the highways play into this? Can we expect to see more kind of maintenance challenges in the years ahead, given that a lot of these bridges were built around a certain time and they're of a certain age?
Okay, the question summarized. I'll summarize the question, but my understanding is you're asking: is the age of our interstate and its structures going? Are we going to see more and more of these types of maintenance issues going forward? And the answer is absolutely. We have an aging infrastructure. Most of our interstates were built in the 1950s. They were built with not the volume in mind. They didn't have in mind the volume of trucks, the weight of trucks. They were designed to a certain standard, and as you know, everything has just evolved a lot since the 1950s. And so, yes, we will see more and more maintenance challenges as we move forward, and that's why we're all hopeful that some type of infrastructure package will be passed by Congress in the near future.
I know you said that there is no excuse for what this employee did, but what were their reasonings for not reporting this crack in 2019?
He didn't see it, but the reason he didn't see it is because he wasn't following proper protocol. The way we're supposed to inspect a bridge is you literally go inch by inch along that beam and physically inspect every inch of the beam. That did not happen.
So are you saying he used the drone instead of doing that physical process?
No, we will always do the physical process. We're required to, and it's important that we continue to do the hands-on inspection. But as a redundancy, as a second set of eyes, we will also add drone video or footage so that a lot of people can review that footage, and there's the redundancy we need in our processes, or part of it. That's one of many, hopefully, fixes we'll be making over the near future.
Okay, and then I assume the drone video that was taken in 2019, that wasn't included in the inspection report later. I was just wondering what happened between when that video was taken and now, like how was it discovered? Why wasn't it?
Okay, and I forgot to repeat the question. Sorry. Okay, the original question, could you repeat?
The original question, I was just wondering about, you said he didn't complete the physical inspection of it. I was just wondering if he had done the drone inspection instead of doing that. And the second question is, like essentially what happened to that drone footage from 2019 to now? Why wasn't it discovered until now?
Okay, that question is, did the inspector use a drone to inspect it? The answer is no. He was doing a hands-on inspection. And then why wasn't the 2019 drone video, why wasn't it discovered back then? Well, that drone video was a 5-hour-long video, and that video was of the cables and rods, the part above the bridge. That was for that inspection. It was a redundancy. They do hands-on for the cables and rods, and then they do a drone, and this was done by Michael Baker. Okay, so that drone video was 5 hours long, and there's like a less than a second shot of this 2019 crack in the middle of that 5-hour video, and it wasn't discovered. And it's not Michael Baker's, it's not their fault. The fault lies with ARDOT that we didn't discover it during our normal inspection process. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you.
What does that tell you about the
what it tells me is any kind of damage to anything, any kind of material damage to that you might find, it starts out small, and then it just continues with weather and stress and strain on that bridge. It just continued to grow, and it was when we did discover it, it had grown from 2019 to 2021, but it was still, the bridge was still intact, which is we're very, very grateful for. But what it tells me is the sooner you can catch it, the better. And so that's the lesson learned here. If you look at this picture versus the picture now, you can see the difference in the two cracks. The question is, will phase 1 repair allow the traffic to get on the bridge? And I'm going to let Rex Fines, our chief engineer, answer that.
No, it will not. The phase 1 repair just stabilizes the structure to the point where we can do further repairs on it. So that's the hopes are phase 2. Once we get the girder replaced, is when we'll be able to allow traffic back on it, and we hope to have a timeline for that sometime this week.
Is there any indication of how long this employee worked here and how many bridges, as you said, you'll need to re-inspect that he has inspected?
So the question was, how long has the employee worked for us and how many bridges that require re-inspection? I don't have those at this time. I believe the employee was around 15 years, but I don't at this time. I don't know how many we'll have to re-inspect. Okay. Yes, sir.
What is the frequency of inspection? Is that something that's every month or every year? As far as, if you want to say for this bridge in particular?
Okay. Yes, sir. The frequency, so what is the frequency of inspection is the question. The NBIS requirements, which is the National Bridge Inspection Standards, is every 24 months. We were inspecting it every 12 months as an additional, because this was fracture critical.
And this particular inspection that he did of the cables and all, this was before the 2019 flooding that we had?
The question is, was the 2019 inspection before the Arkansas River flooding? That's the one you referred to? Yes, that's correct. It was. This inspection, well, we've had, no, it wasn't. It was after. It was in September 2019. The river flooding was in May to June of 2019. So that's, okay.
I think it was initially thought that the inspection was done early May and then the flooding was after. So was this already an inspection that you guys were like, hey, we need to check the bridge to see if the softened soil had any effect on it, or was that just a general routine inspection?
Okay, so to summarize the question is, did the flooding initiate an additional inspection? No, it did not. This was a routine inspection of the structure. There was no thought of the soil being a problem here.
You said that you inspect these bridges inch by inch. Can you tell us what defines a bridge in Arkansas? I mean, obviously the I-40 bridge is huge. Everybody knows it's a bridge, but are there many other bridges that you guys have to inspect on an ongoing basis? And are they all as big as that bridge, or are there some that are smaller than that you still have to do these inspections on?
Yes, so the question is, what defines a bridge? And I'll answer that. That's any span that's 20 foot or greater defines a bridge. And then the next question was, how many bridges do we inspect? The Arkansas Department of Transportation is responsible for inspecting 13,610 bridges. 7,990 of those structures are state-owned. Others are just public roads.
And obviously this is an error by one employee, but is this going to change any way that you guys do inspections on bridges going forward to ensure that this doesn't happen again?
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Well, the question is, will this change how we do inspections in the future? Yes, we will be adding redundancies to our inspection. We will be adding, we're looking at several different things that we have not confirmed yet, but we will be looking at a different program, yes.
Does the state have the resources it needs to add those redundancies? I assume, would there be an increased cost as a result of this new inspection process?
So the question is, does the state have the resources and will there be additional costs? And we do not have the immediate resources probably to perform what we will suggest, but we will add those as needed. Yeah, you may want to expound on that.
Yeah. In the middle of this crisis, we're also trying to get our budget put into place for July 1st. So believe me, we will get into the budget. We'll move funding around. We'll make sure the funding is available to make sure our program is what it needs to be. So I will say that I wish it had never happened, but if it was going to happen, I'm glad it happened now so I can adjust the budget like I need to make sure we take care of what we need to take care of going forward. Okay. Do you have that? You can talk about that? Okay. Parker's going to answer that. Repeat the question.
Question being, what was the timeline on the inspections related to this? The drone video image, that part was in May of 2019, but the inspection by ARDOT, which is what we're here talking about, the breakdown of the process, was September of 2019, and again September 24th of 2020. That's the timeline.
So the question is a 12-month inspection of fracture critical bridges a national standard? And no, it is not. It's Arkansas going. It's our effort to go above and beyond the national bridge inspection standards. They're required to be inspected every 24 months.
Was there drone video and hands-on inspection in 2018?
The question was there drone video and hands-on inspection 2018? There was not drone video that I'm aware of. There was a hands-on inspection.
And do you have a timeline of when, after phase 2, or just anything ballpark related, for traffic to be able to move back on this bridge?
Do we have a timeline on when traffic will be put back on the bridge? Not at this time. It really, until we get a contractor on board, we will not be able to answer that question. Hopefully that will come soon.
Why is this corridor so important? Can people just take kind of a bypass of it, or why is it such a priority to get it up and going right away?
As you're well aware, I-40, I-30, I-40 is a freight corridor going through Memphis, Dallas to Memphis. It's extremely important to commerce. And we do have the I-55 bridge and the I-40 bridge, but both are used significantly. So it's just extremely important for the economy and for our commerce and for freight to get this bridge back open. It's causing a hardship on our trucking industry, hardship on our commuters. The sooner the better. We're committed to getting it open as quickly as possible.
Have you detected any other routes they're using instead of I-55, like Heller Bridge or? I'm sorry. We have seen an increase in traffic on Highway 49 in Helena. We believe there's traffic rerouting to Caruthersville and through Jackson, Mississippi. No, sir, Interstate 20.
Just to clarify, so inspection in 2019, was there inspection in 2020, and was the same employee involved in an inspection for 2020, since there's an inspection every year, correct?
Can you repeat there was an
Was there an inspection for 2020, and if so, why wasn't this found in 2020, and was that employee involved in that inspection as well?
so was there an inspection in 2020 and was the same employee involved? And that is correct. The same person was the team leader in both inspections. Yes. So what is a standard team on a bridge of this size? The majority of our teams are 2 people, but this particular, on this size, we'll have 4 to 6 people on the bridge, all very experienced.
Is it possible to go inch by inch with 4 to 6 people on a bridge that size?
Well, is it possible to go inch by inch on a bridge this size? We use the equipment, I think you can see here. We have very similar. This is not the exact piece of equipment. We have very similar experience, and we have overlapping that they can get under it and touch. They can put their hands on every inch of this bridge, and that is the requirement. Yes.
What is the timeline for the inspection of the I-55 bridge, and do you expect that to have any traffic?
What is the timeline for the Interstate 55 inspection? My understanding is that Tennessee Department of Transportation is doing this, so we don't know the timeline on that yet. But they're doing a drone review, so it should not affect traffic. Okay.
Concerning TDOT's review and doing a drone inspection or a drone review of the bridge, I've been in contact several times with my counterpart in Tennessee, and when I asked him if they would do this for ARDOT is responsible for inspection, TDOT is responsible for maintenance and repairs. And I asked them, would you please do a drone review of the I-55 bridge just to instill confidence in the public, given what we're going through right now. And they said they would get on it and it would be done as soon as possible. So it's probably going to happen. Well, I hate to speculate, but it's probably going to happen first part of this week. And we will let that information get to you guys as soon as we're told that everything's good.
What's the fracture critical element on I-40 bridge? I know I believe there are several fracture critical elements on this structure. The one in particular that we're looking at is the tie girder for the spans. Yes.
Do you think there could be more of these inspection issues across the country, and maybe you guys are just kind of getting unlucky here? I mean, because if a lot of these bridges are kind of hitting their age, and if this one was missed because they weren't able to inspect it inch by inch, or they didn't do the inspection as they were supposed to, maybe, I mean, do you think it's possible that there could be a lot of bridges around the country where people are missing things because that's such a gargantuan task to go inch by inch? I mean, is this something that where you guys are kind of just unlucky?
Well, the question is what happened with the I-40 bridge with ARDOT? Is that something that could happen anywhere in the country? And I would suspect yes. The answer is yes, it could happen. But hopefully this has kind of shown a light on our failure, and every state DOT across the nation we'll be thinking, oh wow, this could happen. We don't want, this is the last thing we want to happen. So hopefully everyone will learn from our failure here. And we're looking at this, even though it's hard to admit that you've got a failure in your process, we're looking at this as just a great opportunity, and we're so glad that a light was shown on it before something really bad happened. So I don't consider us unlucky. I consider us very fortunate that we discovered this before anything happened worse than what has happened. So I appreciate your question, and we've talked a little bit about this, that this is going to be an eye-opener for everyone. I mean, if you have a weak link, then this could happen anywhere. So we just have to have that redundancy, those checks and balances in place to make sure that that the job's being done the way it should be done.
I was gonna say, while you have a 12-month requirement for inspection, will that mean that ARDOT's gonna step up and change theirs to a 6-month or 4-month inspection instead of just relying on that 12-month, from this incident moving forward?
So the question is, will we change our 12-month inspections to a 6? Or I don't anticipate doing that. I think we will put checks and balances in place to be sure the 12-month inspections are done properly, and we will. But I don't anticipate us moving any more frequently than that.
If you had found this back in the first inspection that your team overlooked, would it have been as serious as it was this last week when it was discovered? Or would it have done it, would the bridge have been shut down, or could it have still carried traffic?
The question is if we'd have found it back in 2019 rather than now, would the outcome have been different, not having to shut down the bridge and those types of things? That's hard to speculate, because whether it's this size crack or a larger crack, would the remedy be the same and the same thing need to be done? I can't really answer that, but we will look into that and speak with TDOT and the engineers and get you an answer for that. Of if the remedy would have been different if it had been 2019 versus now, because the crack is in the same place, or the fracture. It's just not quite as wide. It's not as wide. It's not as significant, but not being a bridge engineer, it's hard for me to speculate, but I would think that the remedy would be pretty much the same, but we'll check into that for you.
Any other questions? Anything?
I just have one clarification.
Sure.
What was this employee's exact job title? Do you have that?
Senior bridge inspector.
Team leader, I didn't know if everybody.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The question is what his exact job title. I don't recall that exactly. I believe it was senior bridge inspector, but I'm not sure on that.
But they were like the leader.
He was the team leader. He was just in charge of these 2 inspections.
Can you tell us his name? Is that public?
I don't think we can. I don't believe we can at this time. And the question is, can we tell you his name? It's not public at this time.
Was there any other people disciplined, since you're talking about a team of 4 to 6 people? And do you expect any more to be disciplined? If not one.
Okay, all right. So our initial, of course, this all came to light Friday and over the weekend, and we knew without a doubt that this employee had not done his job correctly, and so he was put on leave without pay, and now he's been terminated, and the paperwork's going through as we speak. Now the next steps are going to be to move up the chain of command to figure out exactly where some other failures may have happened. Now we still have an investigation, it's ongoing, but we're not stopping right here at this employee. We're making sure it's not any kind of systemic or there's some other negligence involved with this incident or ongoing incident.
Just a quick question, how thick is it? Is it a solid beam, or is it 2 inches or 3 inches? How thick is the tie guard?
So the question is, how thick is the tie girder? It's actually it's a box that's welded together. The top and bottom flanges are 1 3/8, and the sides are 1/2 inch.
Anything else? Just in fairness to the outside media, I have been monitoring the questions, and actually every topic, every question they had, you guys have hit upon, which I had a feeling that would be the case. Again, following this, I'll be sending out a video, the actual drone video. It's about 2.5 minutes long, the portion that contains the image of the crack. I'll send that out to the media, as well as a screen grab of the image itself. Any other questions you have related to this or going forward, timeline, anything, if you can direct those to me, I'll get to you as quickly as possible. So with that, thank you. I appreciate everyone being here today. Question is, when will we have another briefing? If we will have another briefing, I think that depends on the progress of the repair. As Mr. Vine said, you know, we're going to name a contractor, and that's the first step, and then we'll from that establish a timeline. Once that timeline is established, something tangible that we can get to the to you guys, we will likely call something later this week, but that's still to be determined.
Real quick, what kind of criminal charges would be filed?
That's under investigation, but I will tell you, we're handing it off, and we're letting the proper authorities to move forward. It's almost like we've done what we think we can do, and then we've handed it off to others to take it from here. So as soon as if we know anything, but right now it's pretty much out of our hands. No, we handed it off to the correct federal authorities, which is, you know, like, because this is a federal program with federal money, it's a federal issue. So that would be the federal FBI and the U.S. Attorney General.
Okay. Thank you all very much.